Week 4 is almost done. We got 2 more Monday night games tonight, so I'm sure there's a lot of games up in the air. But we are here talking about our winners and losers real quick. Give us a like on the video and a subscribe. We are 6 subscribers away from 600, so help us get there. Hopefully by middle of the week we will. And we're just going to jump right into it, starting off with the winners. We're starting off with maybe the best quarterback in the NFL, Baker Mayfield. 350 yards passing, 2 touchdowns with a rushing touchdown. I think he has like 3 rushing touchdowns on the year, which is a little unusual. And he is QB3 on the year.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, go ahead, Dad. Take it away.
Yeah, he was even talking smack about Tom Brady, and
Yeah.
did you? I don't know if you heard all that, but
I did, yeah.
you know what? If you're winning and you're putting up the points, the yards, all that stuff, everybody loves you. And
Yeah.
I personally like Baker Mayfield. I think Cleveland was stupid to let him go, and you see what Cleveland's in now. But you see his numbers there. He's definitely a winner for the week.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he has the weapons. He has, 2-3 good receivers, good running backs that can catch the ball, both of them, and
the running game as a team kind of stinks. But I guess going back to what he said about Brady, I guess he was in a podcast environment, and I think people are like drinking or something sometimes on podcasts or whatever, and they get loose lips, and I don't think you can be talking smack about Brady.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the lack of run game actually makes it better for him for fantasy, because he's going to have to throw the ball more. So, yeah, definitely agree with there. He's starting, and we're going to talk about a loser at the quarterback position later on that potentially you should be starting Baker over. I have Brandon Aiyuk here as a loser. This is 4 weeks now of kind of nothing. We give him a little bit of a pass for the first week or 2. And then week 3, it's like Debo's out, Kittle's out. This is Ayuk's time to shine. And then it's Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, once again, leads the team in targets. Aiyuk, 5 targets, 2 catches, 48 yards. That's all he had. He's starting off the year poorly, very bad. He's wide receiver 60. And, it's a crowded receiving room. So I don't know if it's going to it doesn't necessarily have to go back to Brandon Aiyuk, right? Like they have Debo, they have Kittle, they have Juwan Jennings now. Like they have a run game. Like it's not like a CeeDee Lamb situation where, he's doing poorly for a few weeks, but the offense has to go through CeeDee Lamb or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Doesn't really have to. I'm worried about Aiyuk. I think it's how many excuses. How long do we say, well, it's the holdout? We're 4 weeks in now. Like, how long do we say it's the holdout? Oh, well, then does that make you think about for future fantasy football, like these guys holding out until late August? Like
it does.
It out on them?
For me, I think about it. When it comes time to early September, and we're thinking about a draft and stuff like that, and I know these guys haven't been playing and holding in and holding out, whatever you want to call it. I say, screw you guys. I'm looking somewhere else, and whether it's true or not, I mean, Jamar Chase did it, and he's looking like he's waking up. But anyway,
yeah,
that's just my opinion. And
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. But I don't know. I'm worried about Aiyuk and taking him. And last year he was awesome. 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, 75 catches. You look at the numbers, besides the yards, the targets, the receptions, the touchdowns, were basically all the same from 2022. He just had 300 less yards, so he was a lot less efficient with them. So I think this is concerning for sure. So, Chase Brown is a winner. 15 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches for 12 yards. Better than anything really Zach Moss has done all year. Zach Moss's best game is like 50 yards, a touchdown, 5 catches. Zach Moss wasn't bad either. He had 50 yards. He had 75, 80 total yards and a touchdown with 4 catches. So both the running backs here for the Bengals did well. But do you think we're going to see a little bit more of Zach Moss?
Yeah.
Or sorry, Chase Brown?
Well, yeah, I've been kind of, I watched the guy play in college. He was in the Big Ten, and he was a hell of a volume rusher there for Illinois and stuff. And I thought, this guy's going to do well. So, and then once Mixon left, I thought there's the opening, but then Zach Moss. So now they seem to be, I don't know what the snap count was, the percentage and all that other stuff between Moss and Chase Brown, but keep your eye on him. This is good stuff. I like it, because I like the guy.
Yeah. It's looking at the snap counts. Zach Moss was 40 snaps to 27 for Chase Brown. Basically, the only thing that changed was that they gave Chase Brown the ball more. Essentially, Chase Brown is the early downs guy, or they split early downs carries, or snaps, I should say. And then in this game, they just gave him more carries, right? It's still Zach Moss in the 2-minute and third down, and then Chase Brown played some goal line and short yardage. So, it's good to see. And if he's going to be super efficient, and Zach Moss hasn't been terrible. He's been averaging 4 yards a carry. But if Chase Brown's going to be super efficient, they're definitely going to give him more carries. And that's going to be the theme of today's video. There's a lot of running back losers, including Bijan Robinson. 7 carries, 28 yards, 4 catches, 46 yards. So Bijan Robinson on the year is RB18. This guy was a potentially top 5 pick, easily in the top 7 or 8. He hasn't lived up to it at all. He's not really the first couple of games he was getting the yardage. He just didn't have touchdowns. He had 120 total yards the first 2 games, or 111, 122. That included 4 or 5 catches. He did have 4 catches this week, but now he's under 75 total yards each of the last 2 weeks, only has 1 touchdown on the year. Tyler Algier played a lot more. I don't know if this is a Bijan thing, if this is the coaching staff said, we're going to use him like Christian McCaffrey, and he's going to be nowhere close to Christian McCaffrey stuff. He gets 11 touches, 11 touches. And, I think Algier's going to be a little bit more involved than we want to. Bijan's snap percentage fell below 75% for the first time all year. So I don't really know how to interpret all this. Like, are we worried that he'll be top 15 most likely, but can he get to top 5? Or is that kind of like what we're seeing now is out of the question?
Yeah, it's a little disturbing, I would say, especially where the guy gets drafted and what you expect him to do. And I think there's a number of guys in the top 10 that are, you can start with CMC and stuff like that, and how that affects your fantasy team. Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp. Well, I know Cooper Kupp's not top 10. Puka, those guys. It's a bummer, when you've invested in it. Well, depends on how you invested in it. It's kind of a drag that it's like this. So something to watch.
It is, and Algier is kind of playing like he was last year. We were all pissed off at Arthur Smith at that, it's Arthur Smith and all that, but maybe it's not, maybe it's not. So yeah, if he doesn't finish top 10, that's a complete bust. Even if he finishes top 15, it's a complete bust. So,
and he's not injured, and
no,
that's the sad thing is he's not injured. We can't blame it on injuries. The knee, the hamstring, the whatever. It's how they're using them. I don't understand.
Yeah, they're just not using him as much as we thought. And he's really, really damn good when you see him play. 64% of the snaps today or yesterday. which is not what we need from a top 5 fantasy pick. Justin Fields, 312 yards passing. It's a big number for him. A touchdown, 55 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was awesome. Pretty sure he was QB1 on the week. He's QB6 on the year. He is QB1 on the week. He beat out Jordan Love. And, we still got 4 going tonight. But, do you think – I mean, obviously Pittsburgh's going to roll with him. They're 3-1, and
but they
lost. Brought them back. Yeah, but he brought them back in that game, and there was one drive where Pickens fumbled. It was their first in the first half. They were actually finally moving the ball. Pickens fumbled. That could have been points. I know Fields had kind of a bad play fumble, but I think because he brought them back and they got close, I think they continue with Fields at least for another week or two. But you think for fantasy he's a surefire start, right?
Oh, absolutely. It should have been from day one. Everybody knows what he can do in the running game, and that's how, you got to be okay in passing and good in running, and you're a top fantasy quarterback. So that's where he kind of sits. It's really, I think the whole Russell Wilson thing is kind of strange, but anyway, we're not.
He's either more injured than we know. It's the calf thing. McCaffrey, calf. So, and it keeps you out. Joe Burrow last year, the calf messed him up for 6 games. The calf injuries are kind of scary is what I'm learning. So, that's going to be interesting. Do they trade him? Is there going to be a team that needs a quarterback and they trade him to a team or because he's not going to be happy sitting there. He lost his job essentially.
Yeah, he's still cashing checks from Denver, so
yeah,
I'd be happy. I'd be happy on payday. So
yeah, for sure. Another top running back, Breece Hall, kind of in the same position as Bijan Robinson. Now, the whole Jets offense was horrible. They was playing through a kind of a big rainstorm, and but Breece Hall, I'm a little bit worried about Braylon Allen now because it felt like, and I was watching this game, it felt a little bit like the coaching staff was a little bit frustrated with their stars. Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson in particular need to be better. Garrett Wilson, I think, was better with Zach Wilson last year than he has been with Aaron Rodgers this year, which is not what we're expecting. Breece Hall was not very good. You see the carry, 10 carries, 4 yards. Braylon Allen has looked better than Breece Hall. I'll just say it. He's looked better in the short time that he's come in and play. Braylon Allen has looked better. He's averaged 4.8 yards a carry. He has 7 catches, averaging 8.1 yards per reception. Breece Hall looks a little bit slow, to be honest. Doesn't look like what we saw even his rookie year, or even last year coming off the ACL. I don't really know what it is. I'm starting to get worried again. What is his ceiling with Braylon Allen, whose role just continues to grow. It only continues to grow. He took 23 snaps. They shared early down snaps, 16 for Braylon Allen, 17 for Breece Hall. Breece Hall was the goal line, 2-minute, third down, all that stuff. But if you're going to lose early down work, you're limited. You're limited to being that top 5 back, difference-making back that we thought. So are you worried a little bit about Breece Hall? Obviously, he's still going to be a starter. He's still going to be good. I just don't know if he's going to be top 5, top 3 running back good.
Yeah, it's disturbing. Just like just like Bijan that we just talked about. It's the same situation. I mean, but if Breece Hall isn't looking the part physically, or I don't know, I noticed the TV coverage or social media, all sorts of stuff. Anytime Rodgers has a bad game or the Jets do, they're always focusing in on, he's giving dudes the stare, and supposedly Garrett Wilson and him were arguing on the sideline and stuff like that. So, it's like, yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe this starts the Jets meltdown.
Maybe. I mean, Garrett Wilson right now is on pace for 85 catches, which is fine. 811 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's worse than all those numbers are worse than what he did last year, except for the touchdowns. It's 1 more touchdown. He had 95 for 1,000 last year. And I know Patrick Surtain, he got shut down. Christian Gonzalez, he got shut down. L'Jarius Sneed, he got shut down. I don't ever remember Devontae Adams being shut down 3 weeks in a row from when he was with Rodgers. Like, I know there's good corners. They get paid too. But that's why we draft these guys. We expect them to beat these good corners more often than not. And now you play the Vikings next, tough matchup. You play the Bills next, tough matchup. You play the Steelers, tough matchup. And then you play the Patriots again, who you got shut down by. That's the next 4 weeks for Garrett Wilson. So it's like, am I supposed to wait until Halloween when his schedule lightens up? No. Like, I drafted this guy as, potentially in the first round or early second, to be Devontae Adams. And we're going to get to that when we talk about a winner that I added at the end here. We'll talk about that, but let's get into the next guy. Tucker Kraft here, 9 targets, 6 catches, 53 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Love did throw the ball a lot, 54 times. I don't think they're going to be doing that. It'd be closer to the mid 30s, but yeah, Tucker Kraft he's the tight end to pick up, right? And is he going to be a starter all year long?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is something that's gonna happen every week. The tight ends in fantasy in general seems, you talk about a down year, it's like there's nobody really that looks fabulous and good and stuff like that. So we'll see about Laporta tonight. I know he's one of the top tight end targets. Let's face it, Kelsey, that ain't going anywhere. But, Tucker Kraft there, there's a lot of mouths to feed there in Green Bay. So he just happened to be the one that, was eating well yesterday. So.
Yeah, it's funny when they were drafted, Musgrave and Kraft. This is more for Dynasty. Musgrave was 2nd round, Kraft was 3rd round. Everyone was taking Musgrave in like the 2nd round with a Dynasty rookie pick. And I was kind of like, I think Tucker Kraft has just as good of a chance. And I can get him for free and, pick him up. And that's kind of how it's played out. Kraft has taken over for Musgrave. So, Tucker Kraft didn't have over 5 points the first 3 weeks in half PPR. He had 14.3 this week. He's tight end 9. That just tells you how bad the tight end position is. He's tight end 9 from essentially 1 game. So even in this 1 game, he would be tight end 22 from 1 game. So Travis Etienne continuing the running back, top tier running back busts so far. Travis Etienne, 11 carries, 50 yards, a catch, and 10 yards. He was dealing with a shoulder injury. But did come back in the second half, only played 52% of the snaps. Take Bigsby looked better, and he has looked better than him probably all year in the games that he's played. 12 carries for 73 yards for Bigsby. He had a first week for Bigsby, 7 for 90, and then he got a little bit hurt. This is another one, like another running back I'm going to talk about, like Bijan, like Breece, where the backups, maybe not for Bijan, but the backups have looked better, and I'm getting a little bit worried about what this means for these guys and just the Jacksonville Jaguars in general. I think their coach could get fired, and that could just change everything. So I'm kind of pressing the panic button here. Are you pressing the panic button on Etienne?
Well, it's definitely, maybe not yet, because I know he's pretty versatile out of the backfield, and he's heavy into the passing game. But this could be. Last year, Bigsby was a rookie, and we were thinking, well, they're going to split carries and stuff like that. Well, Etienne had a pretty good year and an okay year, his 1,000-yard and stuff like that. So, I mean, this could be the situation where, we're splitting carries and they're splitting snaps and things like that. Let's face it, there's only one Derrick Henry, so that's the guy we can lean on as far as being a true running back. Everything else is kind of, it's kind of hit and miss a little bit.
Yeah, it has been. Lots of those running backs have just been like, I'm just looking at half PPR. Christian McCaffrey hasn't played. Breece Hall, he's still top 12, but I am getting a little bit worried. Bijan has been a bust to this point. Jonathan Taylor's been good. He's been maybe the best out of that group. Jonathan Taylor, who is RB6 on the year. Saquon's been awesome. Gibbs, I'd say disappointing for fantasy up until this point. Etienne, disappointing. So, yeah, lots of disappointment there. Xavier Legette, a rookie that we could be starting to see the breakout here. 10 targets, 6 catches, 66 yards, 1 touchdown. Obviously, Adam Thielen went on the IR, I think. So, this could be good for Legette and with Dalton as the quarterback. Do you think we're seeing the rookie, week 4, week 5 starting to break out a little bit?
Absolutely. And it's because of Andy Dalton, and Thielen on the IR and stuff like that. I was listening. I had to listen to the majority of games on XM radio yesterday, and I happened to hear Legette make a play, and the radio announcers are saying, I get Legette's a big guy, physical. I guess somebody tried to tackle him and just kind of bounced off of him, and Legette didn't even move. So it was kind of funny hearing that. And I was like, oh shit, he's making hay for himself. That's good.
Yeah. And I was telling people potentially to start him. I didn't follow my own advice, which I probably should have. But yeah, I mean, with Thielen out and Dalton as the quarterback, I think Legette's going to be like a flex for the most part. So we move along with the running back disappointment. Josh Jacobs, 9 carries, 51 yards, 4 catches, 27 yards. And this is more about his usage. And this was something I've always been concerned about with Josh Jacobs. With going to the Packers at least, is LaFleur loves using 2 running backs. I keep talking about it. What was it, 2018, when he had a prime Derrick Henry at like the age of 22? Dion Lewis had like just as many touches as Derrick Henry. Like, this is what LaFleur does. Now, A.J. Dillon got hurt. Marshawn Lloyd got hurt. So I was thinking, this is Jacobs' time. No, it's Emmanuel Wilson is taken more and more away from Josh Jacobs. And I think, I still think Jacobs can be good. I think it's just going to limit his upside again. Like, first 2 weeks, 73% and 67%. So about 70% of the snaps for Jacobs. Last 2 weeks, 52 and 61. And I think it's going to be closer to the 60 than it is the 70. So that is going to limit him. Emmanuel Wilson has looked good as well. Looked good, pretty good again. He's averaging over 4.5 yards per carry. So I think he's kind of the new A.J. Dillon for this Packers offense. So anything you want to add there with Jacobs?
Yeah, I think this is the Jordan Love effect. I truly do. And they got behind in the game early.
That's true.
So that kind of, for most teams, that kind of null and voids their running game. So it's
I guess I would expect just a little bit more. I don't know, but he did set the record, I think, for most catches without a receiving touchdown in the history of the NFL. So it's like, what does he have? Over 200 catches in his career. 204 catches, no receiving touchdown. So you have Dontayvion Wicks here. 13 targets, 5 catches, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, again, Jordan Love threw the ball 55 times. That's not going to happen every week. But Christian Watson is hurt again. And I forget what it was. A high ankle sprain is what it is. He's going to miss time.
That's right.
Wicks is kind of like the guy that in your head, well, he seems like the guy that will replace Watson. So is he going to become a potential flex starter? I don't think we want to do it next week, but is he going to become, one more week of this or similar? Like, he's going to be thrown in as a flex, right? And a lot of experts and a lot of smart people out there talk about Wicks like he could possibly be the best receiver on this team. Obviously, that's Jaden Reed, but his talent is up there. So, what are you thinking about Wicks?
There you go. The somebody gets hurt, the door opens for somebody else. And, I think this guy was producing at the end of the year last year when Green Bay was rolling into the playoffs and stuff like that. And, we just know there's a lot of guys there, Jaden Reed and Dobbs and stuff like that. So somebody's, if you need somebody, this is somebody to consider. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the start of the game, they were using that rotation like they always did. Romeo Dobbs was a starter, and Christian Watson and Wicks were rotating, and Jaden Reed still only playing on 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers out there. And then Watson gets hurt, and it's Dobbs and Wicks out there the most, like more than Jaden Reed. So I'm not saying Jaden Reed, start Wicks over Jaden Reed, but just keep that in mind. Like Dontayvion Wicks is going to be out there a lot. It's going to be Dobbs and Wicks and 2 wide receiver sets, and then Jaden Reed coming in 3 wide receiver sets. So I have two quarterback back-to-back losers. First is Patrick Mahomes for fantasy, obviously. 245 yards passing, a touchdown, 12 rushing yards. Since week 8 of last year, we've seen one game where Mahomes has gone over 20 points. Since week 8 of last year. We're talking about basically almost a full season, 75% of a season where we haven't seen Patrick Mahomes have more than 20 fantasy points and 4-point passing touchdown. This is a guy who's thrown 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, right? Like, this is...
And now he just lost his potential number 1 receiver,
And now he lost his potential number 1.
But I'll tell you one thing.
He lost Pacheco, which I think is a big loss. Kelsey looks older. Hollywood Brown's out for the year. Xavier Worthy is a rookie. Go ahead.
Chargers defense is no joke, and it's too bad their offense.
That.
Huh? Yeah.
I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, we're kind of seeing a little bit of a trend with Kansas City is very much a defensive oriented team.
Yeah.
Or and I know Mahomes, that's kind of weird to say, with somebody like Mahomes who knows, I mean, things were looking good at the beginning of the year, all those weapons and stuff like that. And now
they're gone.
Now, you got an old tight end, you're losing wide receivers, you're running back and stuff like that. So
you got to rely on Sky Moore and Justin Watson now, like Juju Smith-Schuster. This is who you have to rely on. So, and your best running back's out too, and I think that hurts. So, since week 8 of last year, like I mentioned it, he's averaged 15.3 fantasy points per game, which is really, really bad for Mahomes. Derek Carr, Brock Purdy, these guys are averaging more than him. Deshaun Watson is averaging just as many points as Patrick Mahomes. So this is a lesson. If you're going to take a quarterback high, it has to be rushing quarterbacks because at least they give you that rushing production. Has to be like these Mahomes is not a pure pocket passer, but he's up there. And just either that or just take one late, take a Goff or Geno Smith late. And then Anthony Richardson, getting hurt once again. I don't know if you saw that. I know you were driving back from Arizona potentially, but he gets hurt with his hip, misses a couple games, and comes back, and then they do a read option.
First
play,
he
runs the ball.
I guess I heard, this is what I heard, I didn't see it. I heard he was still limping and come back in the first play as a running play, and he gets nailed again.
Yeah, he slides actually for once, but then he gets a hit kind of late, but he slid late, and yeah, it's a hip injury. They're saying it's not serious, but then he was out the whole game. Like, if it's not serious, why are you missing a game? I don't really know. It's frustrating because his potential, I think, is QB1. We were seeing it too. 70 yards passing, 24 rushing yards, and basically a quarter. I think even a little bit less than that. And he had the ball. He had the team moving the ball and in the red zone and all this stuff. Yeah, 20% of the snaps. You extrapolate that. We're looking at over 200 yards passing, potentially 75 yards rushing, and some touchdowns. But yeah, it's frustrating. You got to just kind of in one quarterback leagues, just kind of cut your losses, I guess.
Jonathan Taylor got hurt too, so
yeah, that's not good.
I think he got an ankle, one of those high
ankle sprain.
High ankle sprain. So he's going to miss some
but
time.
Good for Pittman and Downs if Flacco's starting, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Although half of Pittman's yards did come with Anthony Richardson, which is kind of funny. No one's really mentioning that. Wan'Dale Robinson is a winner. 14 targets, 11 catches, 71 yards, no touchdowns. Just real quick before you get into it, Wan'Dale Robinson in half PPR is the wide receiver 25 on the year. In full PPR is the wide receiver 20 on the year. This is not just a one-time thing. We were talking about him in our tier list show of kind of a sneaky production. He has 2 games now of 12 or more targets. He also has a touchdown. He has another game with 7 for 61. He's a PPR flex, maybe even a half PPR flex if he's going to get 10 catches.
Here's the Malik Neighbors effect. So obviously
helps him a lot.
Yeah, and helps. Look at one stud guy is going to help your offense. Open up other things and everything else. So hopefully it continues. He seems to be getting a lot of targets, a lot of balls thrown his way.
Yeah,
this is what we expected.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be like this for a lot of the year. Like you said, he's the perfect complement to Neighbors. So, and by the way, Neighbors might miss a game potentially. So the last loser is another running back. It's Rachaad White, 10 carries. He actually ran the ball a little bit better, 50 yards on 10 carries, 2 catches, 35 yards. But Bucky Irving is taking more and more. Why Rachaad White was so good last year? He was playing around 80% of their snaps. Of the Bucs snaps, and he was the only guy, and it was just pure volume. Over the first 3 weeks, he was right around 70 to 75%. Week 4, after they came out and said we need to get Bucky more snaps, he played 58% of the snaps. Rachaad White. So he, to me, is in PPR leagues, like he's a flex at this point. In half and standard, like he could potentially be a bench I don't know how many touchdowns he's going to get. He'll still catch the ball, but obviously it being half point per PPR, that doesn't matter as much. Yeah, I mean, you agree with that, or are we overreacting a little bit on Rachaad White and we should slow down?
I think what you're seeing is what you get, of course, and so I'm not sure. Last year he was the only dog in the backfield, so he got all the usage and.
Yeah, that's the issue.
It is. So not. I mean, and so what you see right now is pretty much what he's going to. It's probably going to what he's going to be getting. So.
Yep, I agree. It's again like in half and standard. I'm thinking about benching the guy, and if you can, of course, So it's been tough for these. He's another one that was a second, third round pick, and it's kind of been failing. So, and to kind of cap it off here, I brought up Nico Collins is my last winner here. This guy is awesome. Maybe the top 5 receiver in the league, and he's a wide receiver 1 in half PPR, wide receiver 2 in PPR. I never thought you don't normally see careers like this where a player does like nothing, and when I say nothing, like nothing, his first 2 years, and then becomes maybe one of the top 5 best receivers in the entire NFL.
And I know we talked about a contract extension. You got a big contract extension.
Yeah, I know we talked about Devontae Adams doing that, but that's like it that I can remember over the last 10, 15 years of like, you see guys who have good seasons after not like top 5 elite seasons. Like this guy's awesome, and it makes me think about. So if we go back and look at the draft, who are we taking Nico Collins over? Are we taking him over Tyreek Hill at this point? Knowing what we know now, I think we are, right?
Well, of course.
CeeDee Lamb, you can you can still lean CeeDee Lamb. Justin Jefferson, you can still lean Jefferson. Chase, you can still lean Chase. A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka, Marvin Harrison, Devontae Adams, Drake London, Chris Olave, Debo. All those guys were going over Nico Collins. You're taking Nico Collins over all of them. You can even argue over Amon-Ra St. Brown in half and standard, just for the upside. But what I'm trying to say is he's been a top 5 receiver this year. He should have been a first-round pick. And I think what I've learned from this is that we need to stop. Obviously, fantasy, we need to project a little bit because that's what you can't just base everything off of last year's scoring. But I think we need to stop trying to predict what teams are going to do with their offenses because it just never works out, right? The reason why Nico fell is because of Diggs and Dell, and is he even going to be the wide receiver one? I fell for this too. Is he even going to be the wide receiver one? And you know, rather than guys like, and I'm really looking at guys like Drake London, Chris Olave, Garrett. We saw Nico be better than all those guys with a really good quarterback. He still has that really good quarterback. Like, we need to stop trying to project and being like, well, I think he's going to get less of this because of the offense, because we're 3 weeks in and Dell's already hurt, right? And things like that can just change on a dime. And so that's kind of what I learned. Like, obviously we need to project things, but like, there's no world where we should have been taking, and I know it's hindsight, but even without the hindsight, we shouldn't have been taking Nico Collins or Drake London over Nico Collins. Like, we just shouldn't have. Like, just because we're projecting him to be, you know, better. We think the offense is going to be this way, and we just haven't seen it yet. So that's kind of what I learned with Nico Collins. That's why I wanted to bring him up a little bit. You wanted to add something there, Dad?
No, it was the Diggs. It was the Diggs factor, you know, and you know, is Diggs gonna you know, come in and pitch a fit, you know, that he's not getting the ball and you know, is going to cause division. But what we should have looked at, we go, look, the Texans, you know, have put an investment into Nico Collins, and we know Tank Dell, you know, slot receiver and stuff like that. Yeah, it's probably going to bite into some of the catches and the throws, or, you know, the targets and stuff like that. So we just kind of said, you know, like, let's take Diggs. Diggs and Collins were right there. But I think overall the overanalyzing sometimes it does kill us. So
yeah, well, we have to project things. Like, you can't just base it. You're going to lose a lot if you base everything off of the year before. But yeah, it's trying to predict offenses and what they're going to do is the biggest thing. Like, we never, like, Drake London, I don't think, and I kind of thought about this, him coming out of college, is like, I don't know if he's like that. He's a good receiver, but he doesn't like break off big plays, and he doesn't like yards after contact and things like that. You know, and I don't know. It's just we should have realized that. Yeah. But I think we'll finish up there. Again, help us get to 600. We are 6 away. Appreciate everyone. We will be back with a bunch of other stuff this week. And we'll continue on. Hopefully you win your matchups. I think it's tonight. So good luck, everyone. See you all soon.